Have you ever stopped to think how an empire the size of Rome managed to dominate so many people for so long? It wasn't just with swords and shields. There was something behind it, something that few people talk about. Rome invented war machines that seemed like something out of this world at the time. But the strangest thing, some of these inventions have disappeared from official history. They really disappeared, as if they had been erased. And here comes the question that does not want to be silenced. Why? Were they weapons so advanced that the Romans themselves preferred to hide them? Or did they carry a symbolic, psychological power that frightened not only the enemies but even the allies themselves? The fact is, these machines weren't just tools of war, they were living messages. They were proof that Rome did not need to raise its voice. She did this with wood, stone, and fire. And the most bizarre, many of these weapons today are still rediscovered by archaeologists. But the details? These remain a big question mark. If you think you've seen everything about the Roman Empire, just wait until you understand what's next. Wait a minute. Before I continue, I need your help. YouTube only releases this video to more people if it has a lot of interaction. That is, without your comment, this knowledge can be buried and never reach those who need it. If this content makes sense to you, comment, If you disagree, comment 0 and tell me why. I want to see at least 100 comments here, for YouTube to understand that this subject needs to be spread. Then comment now and be part of this mission to reveal the secrets of ancient Rome. In the beginning, Rome was just another city trying to survive. He fought with neighbors, lost, won, was beaten, and got up again. But there was a moment, almost imperceptible, when everything changed. Rome stopped just fighting hard and began to fight intelligently. And that's when the first war machines appeared. But Rome did not invent everything on her own. She looked at other peoples and thought, what are they doing better than us? And he copied. But he didn't just copy, he improved. This was the case with the Etruscans, with the Greeks, and later even with the Carthaginians. The first versions of catapults, for example, came from Greece. But Rome didn't just want to throw stones. I wanted to strike fear. He wanted to tear down walls without having to lose soldiers. He wanted to conquer cities without having to set foot in them. So it began to adapt these machines to make them bigger, more precise, more lethal. From that point on, Rome began to win wars before it even began to fight, because the enemies were already trembling just to see what was being dragged on the horizon. Imagine this. You are in a castle, quiet, thinking you have an advantage because you are on top of a high wall. Suddenly the ground shakes. You hear a noise coming from afar, something heavy being pulled by oxen, and before you can understand it, a stone the size of a refrigerator pierces the sky and explodes right next to you. That was the power of a Roman catapult. She didn't have to get close. There was no need for direct confrontation. It broke defenses, spread panic, and cleared the way for the army to pass. But it wasn't just brute force. There was calculation. There was engineering. Each shot was thought out. The speed of the stone, the weight, the angle. All this was done with precision, using twisted ropes with animal tendons, reinforced wood, and traction systems that, for the time, were almost magical. The scariest thing? The stones were not always just stones. Sometimes they were fireballs. Other times, infected corpses used to spread disease within besieged cities. Rome knew how to win, but he also knew how to leave a message. If you saw a Roman catapult coming, you knew that the problem was not just the stone. It was everything that came after it. You know that gun that hits from afar without making a fuss and that no one notices until it's too late? That was the ballista, a kind of giant beast with a bow-like functioning, but with absurd power. Instead of ordinary arrows, she fired huge spears, the size of poles, with enough force to pierce not just one, but even 2 or 3 enemies at once. And don't think that it was used only to kill. Sometimes the goal was to paralyze, to make it clear with a single shot that no one was safe. An exposed general, an archer at the top of the tower, or even a messenger trying to escape. Everyone could be targeted. It was like saying, we are seeing, and we can hit you whenever we want. The ballista was different from the catapult. While one was used to destroy structures, the other was made to eliminate specific targets. It was as if Rome had created, right there, the concept of the sniper millennia before anyone used that word. And the most interesting thing, some were so well built that they could be adjusted as if they had a sight. It wasn't just about aiming at the general, it was aiming at the right person, at the right time. That's it. It was psychological. Because the idea that you could die invisibly, quickly and accurately left any enemy paralyzed. Now imagine the terror of seeing, on the horizon, a gigantic structure moving slowly towards you. It's tall, it has wheels, it looks like a walking construction, and it's coming straight for its wall. There are no screams, there are no cavalry running, only the creaking of wood and the heavy sound of Roman drums marking the advance. That was the siege tower, one of Rome's most intimidating inventions. It functioned as a mobile building. Inside, dozens of soldiers protected by wooden boards, wet leather, to resist enemy fire, and an internal ladder. Up there, archers. Down there, brute force. As the tower approached the wall, the archers fired nonstop. And as soon as she pulled over, the soldiers ran up the internal stairs and invaded from above, jumping into the fortress as if it were a joke. But think with me. The psychological impact was even greater than the physical one. You saw that thing, slowly approaching, knowing that when it arrived, there would be nowhere to run. It was like watching one's own defeat arrive in slow motion. And the most sinister? Many of these towers were collapsible. The Romans brought it in parts and assembled it on the spot, as if it were a giant puzzle of destruction. Rome was in no hurry. There was a method. And when I decided to knock you down, he did it with class. Rome was not just muscle. It was brain, too. Behind every catapult, every ballista, every siege tower, there was a hidden system of engineering that left everything working as if it were magic. These machines were not assembled in any way. They had calculations, he had physics, and the most curious thing, many of the Romans did not even know how to explain it with words. But they knew how to do it. They used springs made from animal tendons coiled and tensioned to the limit. They used treated wood, ropes soaked in oil, reinforced metals. Each piece was thought out to the millimeter. If one gear failed, the whole attack could go wrong. And there's more. Roman engineers were true craftsmen. They tested, tweaked, and improved these weapons before they even went into battle. Some had wheels with brakes, others could rotate 360 degrees. They had tilt adjustment, levers for quick reloading, and damping systems that seemed too modern for the time. Do you know what's more impressive? Most of this technical knowledge has never been recorded in books. It was passed from mouth to mouth, from engineer to engineer, like a family secret. Many of these men were former slaves, foreigners captured in war, or ordinary citizens who simply had a talent for building the impossible. Rome treated these people with respect, or afraid, because those who mastered the art of engineering had power. When we think of Rome, what comes to mind? Powerful generals, emperors, soldiers in shining armor. But what about who built the weapons that made all this possible? Almost no one talks about them. These inventors were the invisible ones of history. Most had no registered name. It did not appear in statues or speeches. But without them, Rome would never have achieved the power it had. Many were self-taught engineers, ordinary men who were discovered by chance. Others were foreigners captured in war, Greeks, Egyptians, Syrians. And instead of going to the mines, they were spared for one reason. They knew how to build. They knew how to think differently. There were also the expert slaves who spent their entire lives in military workshops, perfecting every detail of a new catapult, experimenting with new types of ropes, angles, counterweights. They were masters of detail, and Rome knew it. Therefore, even though they were slaves, some were treated with privileges, as long as they continued to deliver results. Rome has always been practical. It didn't matter where you came from. If you knew how to create something that would help the empire conquer more land, you were useful. And this cruel utilitarianism is what fed the war machine. These inventors did not appear at the celebrations, but they were there, always. by observing the tests, writing down the results, adjusting what he needed. And in the end, they were the ones who defined the victory even before the first combat began. Rome didn't need to shout. Her machines did it for her. Every catapult mounted, every tower being raised, every ballista pointed. It was a direct message. You can run, but you won't escape. The impact of these inventions went far beyond the battlefield. It was something mental, cultural, political. Imagine being a smaller people with a simpler army and seeing Rome approaching with war engines that seemed alive. It was like facing a wooden monster. The feeling of helplessness was immediate. Many gave up even before the fight began. Others surrendered without resistance, just by seeing the size of the machine. Rome quickly understood that winning was not just about killing the enemy. It was to break his spirit, to show that resisting would be in vain. And you know the craziest? This was not just in the battles. The fame of these machines spread. Distant peoples, who had never faced Rome, were already trembling just hearing stories. And then the empire grew without having to fight so hard. The war was already won before the first attack. These machines have become symbols of power, of supremacy. That Rome had gone beyond the limit of brute force and entered a new era, the era of thought-out, calculated, unbeatable war. And the more it advanced, the more machines became the hallmark of domination. Even with everything that has already been discovered, there is still a lot that no one has been able to fully explain. Fragments of machines that do not match any known model. Pieces with enigmatic inscriptions. Systems that seem to have been much more sophisticated than what traditional textbooks teach. There are archaeologists who say that Rome went beyond what we imagine, that some weapons were experimental, that prototypes were buried on purpose, and that certain designs were exclusive to secret campaigns, used only once and then hidden so that no enemy could ever copy them. We grew up hearing the official version of the story, but the truth is that the Romans were masters at erasing traces. If something was too dangerous, or if it fell into the wrong hands, it would disappear. It was dismantled, burnt, or simply buried in the desert, along with the secrets of a war that never ended. Today, excavations in regions that were once Roman territory continue to reveal strange things. Gears that make no sense, technical drawings engraved in stone, incomplete records that seem to speak of weapons that no one else knows about. Have we really figured it all out? Or are we still only on the surface, perhaps? Just maybe. The most powerful thing that Rome has created is still under the earth. Waiting. Rome fell, but did the spirit of their machines really fall with it? Because, if we stop to observe calmly, we will realize that many things we use today in modern wars, drones, guided missiles, tracking satellites, follow the same logic as in Rome. Win before you even fight. Intimidate with technology. Dominate with strategy. Send a clear message without saying a word. Don't try to resist. The Roman war machines did not disappear. They changed their form, material, name, but the principle remains the same. Power is still, as it always has been, in the hands of those who know how to build fear. And now, looking at all this, the question that remains is, are these ideas really in the past? Or did Rome's military mind never die? Did it just evolve? If this video made you see history with different eyes, comment below. Machines never sleep. Like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with those who also need to find out what the history books prefer to hide. And get ready for the next episode. Because there are still secrets of Rome that the modern world is not ready to face. See you there.